We'll be back in session here. And we will continue with our regular calendar, R3, legislative update and other issues from the CEO and the supervisors' reports. Mr. Lees. Really? Life is good. You must be living in Candyland or something. Supervisor Haas, we'll start with you today.
Well, I'm just going to comment that it was a nice rain we had, and we were lucky we didn't get 25, 30 mile an hour wind that knock everybody's corn down. Huh?
Yeah.
So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hartman.
I can't follow that.
Maybe.
Supervisor Baugh.
Thank you, Chair Modi. I'll just mention a couple, because we did have a meeting last week. I mentioned this last week. Just want to congratulate Shasta Lake City on their State of the City lunch, and especially comment about Supervisor Hartman receiving a recognition from the City of Shasta Lake for her service. And we just want to point out and thank you as well for your service. And that's all you're getting from us, so that's it. I will also mention last week we had a PSA 2 telephone conference meeting. Thank you.
Supervisor Kehoe.
Thank you, Chairman Modi. I attended the Shasta Health Assessment and Redesign Collaborative meeting last Friday. I have that material. It'll be upstairs for anyone to review. I also make note of the fact that Chairman Modi, Mr. Lees, and I attended the Water Symposium out at the McConnell Foundation. Very productive, very worthwhile, and that material is upstairs on the credenza. Finally, I would like to make mention that I attended, representing the board, the first annual Gatekeeper Shining Affair that was held last week. As you may recall, these are a group of volunteers that are observant and assist seniors in the community. This is good duty, and they're accomplishing a great deal. And that material will be upstairs. That concludes my report, Chairman Modi.
Thank you, Supervisor Kehoe, and I'll just add to the comments already made. I did have a meeting with the Bureau of Land Management and residents of French Gulch over OHV issues out in their area. Went to the Centerville CSD meeting last week to discuss and hopefully, I think, educate them on what an integrated regional water management board really is. And then also yesterday participated in the North Sac Valley IRWM governance subcommittee, where we're discussing the future governance of the board and funding, if we're going to continue the efforts or not. We may not. We may decide that when we conclude this here next year, that may be all we're going to do, but we're working on that to see where our next steps will be. Supervisor Hawes, you wanted to add something?
Well, just a reminder that the Thursday nights, the Power to Seniors fundraiser.
Right.
They want to have a big turnout and raise a lot of money to help the seniors. So let's all try to do that. Thank you.
The weather changed just in time to make it a good night for soup.
Yeah, good night for soup, you bet.
Okay, moving on to R4, amendment to the Shasta County Code, Chapter 8.02.
Good morning, Chairman Modi, members of the board.
Davis.
Angela Davis, Assistant Director of Support Services. Before you this morning is a board report that has multifaceted recommendations, all pertaining to the Department of Resource Management for the Shasta County Code, Section 8.02. Containing within those amendments to the code are to clarify, to also be consistent with current law, as well as to provide additional flexibility due to the upcoming retirement of the Director of Resource Management. So with those amendments to the Shasta County Code, also then requires changes and amendments to the classification specifications for several positions that are contained within the Department of Resource Management. And then that leads to a salary resolution that is before you for adoption, which will add 2 footnotes in order to be able to allow those folks who may possibly be appointed as the building official or the Director of Environmental Health a 5% stipend, depending on if they qualify. So with that, I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I'll move approval of the staff recommendation.
Second?
Moving and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Lees, you're biting your tongue. Do you want to make? Okay.
I do have a question of
Yes,
you,
sir.
Ms. Davis. Upon the departure of Mr. Mull, we potentially may have to hire 87 people to take his place?
That is the essence of this board report, yes. Yes. And this is why this board report is before you today, is so that, for that flexibility in recruitment.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
it will be hard to find somebody with all those credentials.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Thank you so much.
Next item is R5, considering the appointment to fill the term of elected auditor controller.
Thank you, Chairman Modi and members of the board. As you recall, a few weeks ago, the potential appointment for the replacement of our auditor controller was actually conditional based on some background checks and some reference verification. And so I was able to complete that, in fact, meeting personally face-to-face with some of the personnel that had worked directly with Brian in the past, and all had glowing recommendations and comments. And so at this point, I'm asking the board to go ahead and ratify their appointment by making it official to have Brian Meir fill this vacancy. Now, I will add one caveat, and he is aware of that, and that caveat is this: it is still incumbent upon him to establish a residence here within Shasta County and register to vote within Shasta County, but he has till January 1st to do that, and his intentions are to do that.
Okay. I have one request to speak. Mr. Randall Faulkner.
I was hoping Mr. Muir would be here, but I want to sincerely welcome him. And we sincerely hope he does very good work. Despite the claims to the contrary, and I hope he gets to watch this, I know of no one, particularly myself, who questions Mr. Muir's integrity. Absolutely not. We simply want more accountable and responsible county government. We wish him the very, very best and pray he will finally bring internal audits and ethics to the Shasta County Auditor's Office. We hope he will work with the citizens to address some of the deficiencies that have existed in our Auditor's Office for well over a decade. Most of these issues have been specifically addressed over the years in grand jury reports and the Rose Accountancy Report on Management in the Auditor's Office. Yet these reports have been, in large, ignored, and in the case of the Rose Accountancy Report, even hidden from the public. Please allow me today to address 5 of the most egregious issues that this man's going to have to address. 1, $2 million a year for an auditor's office that does virtually 0 internal audits. 2, no formal fraud detection or deterrent program of any kind. If either of these first 2 items had been corrected, we could have easily deterred or previously detected the fraud case in our Sheriff's Department. 3, an employee turnover rate of over 30% a year for over a decade. This is well over 3 times any normal turnover rate and a direct result of an extremely hostile working environment. 4, a county auditor who does not even have an AA degree in general education and has never done an audit. This board has been previously asked by the grand jury to get with our state elected officials to correct this good old boy loophole in state law. And 5, maybe the most important issue of all, the auditor's responsibilities have been defined too narrowly, and this shows up in the grand jury reports and in the Rose Accountancy Report. The auditor's office does not serve as a fiscal resource to other departments or, for that matter, other municipalities in Shasta County, like water districts in the city of Shasta Lake and Redding. We hope these issues are positively addressed by our new auditor selectee, Mr. Muir. His selection could be the best thing to happen to Shasta County government in a very long time. As I guess you can tell, I believe in very open and honest communication. Mr. Cruz is correct. What this board has done is perfectly legal, and the law is designed to avoid special elections. What Mr. Cruz does not tell you is that had the current auditor announced retirement just a few weeks earlier, this board would have had the option of including the vacancy on the November 2012 general election. I have to ask, is this a coincidence, or is this part of the orchestrated political maneuver designed to deny the people the right to vote for their fiscal watchdog? Regardless, I warmly want to welcome Mr. Muir, and we the people look forward to working with him. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Faulkner. Okay, back to the board.
Move approval.
Did you want to, Mr. Cruz, did you want to say something?
Just to clarify, I am not aware of any provision in the law that would provide for what Mr. Faulkner has indicated. The way that a position, an elected official vacancy is to be filled is as the board has done by way of filling it by appointment, and there's no provisions in the law for calling a special election in this particular situation.
And just to further clarify, when we're talking about elected positions, we're not talking about Board of Supervisors. That's the one exception to where that obviously a vacancy would be filled by the governor.
Governor, yeah.
Well, I heard a motion to approve. I'll second. And
Well,
then-
I'm not sure I heard that, so
Yeah, I made a motion.
thank you, Mr. Hawes. Thank you, Mr. Bott. Did you want to say something else?
I would, under discussion. I appreciate the fact that Mr. Faulkner got back up there again, because under open comment items, we don't have the opportunity to respond. But under this time, we can, and while it may not be wise, I'm going to anyway. You're full of hot air. Your assertion that there's some type of collusion between this board and Ms. Regnell is absolutely without basis or fact. I didn't hear this man's name until it became part of my packet. I'm just talking now. Your turn has already had a chance to talk. It's my turn to talk. Please be quiet. You spread false innuendo. This is my opportunity to correct that. I have never heard that man's name before until it was in my packet. I consider myself to be a friend of Connie Regnell, and yet I didn't receive an advance call of her pending retirement. I received it like the rest of the board did, appropriately, through Mr. Lees. It's easy for members of the public who are ill-informed to come up here and make statements that have no basis in fact. And this is my opportunity to tell you that everything he said is absolutely incorrect and without any merit. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Ball. Anybody else? I just will add one comment. I agree with your assessment, and I just would point out that this appointment process was open to anybody in the public to apply. Anybody could have submitted their application and tried for this position, and we interviewed those that did. Supervisor Kehoe?
Thank you, Chairman Modi. There have been some statements implying that the process was not transparent, and I'd like to give Mr. Lees an opportunity to talk about the process and the inherent transparency associated with that process.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. It was obviously a very public process. We advertised that throughout the state. We advertised that in different journals, welcomed anybody to respond. We actually had recipients that applied from Hawaii, other ones from out of state elsewhere. We announced it, we advertised it. It was a very general process that is typical of what we will go through to fill any position. It's typical of what we are doing to go through the filling, what we will go through to fill the position for resource management. So it's those same steps that we take. The only exception to this, which becomes a little unique, is the fact that even the interview process is done in public session. And that's the one uniqueness about replacing an appointed or an elected position. That's done, excuse me, not an appointed, but an elected position. That's done in public process. So we absolutely had all the interviews, all the questions were asked in public, and I think it was very clear that someone rose to the top, and I don't know that anybody felt that there was any undue pressure to select somebody or not select somebody. Clearly, there was a person with adequate experience that could take the charge and lead, and so I don't think that's the question. But the fact that this is all done in public session means it even more transparent than.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Supervisor Hawes.
Well, I just wanted to say our number 2 and 3 candidates were great too, and we'll
Yep.
find out at the next election if they want the job and if they come forward and run for it. So, no, I think it was done very well, and we got an outstanding candidate. So, with lots and lots of experience. Went to college the same period that I did, so I can tell you there's some experience there.
Then I'll look for direction from the board on the item.
You have a motion and a second already?
I thought I cut it off. Nope, I'm sorry. It's been a long morning. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Hawes, you have something else?
Well, I just have a conflict of interest under code section 87100 on the Anselmo part of our closed session.
Okay.
We'll make that announcement.
And we will go into closed session, discuss the following items, 2 cases involving Reverge Anselmo and Seven Hills Land and Cattle Company, and 1 case involving Westside Church of Reading. At the end of closed session, we will report any reportable action in open session, and we estimate this to be about 45 minutes. We are in recess.